Good morning. It's me again. So I did a video yesterday, my first video coming out the box, in which I was talking about my E² Creative. Um, I went back, and this is just the journey that the group and population that I want to work with, that they'll go through, the people, I won't call them population, the people that I want to work with will go through, of stepping out on faith, having courage and the strength to record yourself, to analyze, critique, whatnot. And if you like me, I'm my biggest critic. But this time, I just wanted to do a natural video. And I'm not going to lie, not a gatekeeper. I keep it all the way 100. I do have a camera set up, just was not a script, but just some points to make sure that I hit because I really want this message to get through. And I want to bring people on board of what I'm trying to do and to pass this message out. Um, this is like my calling, my purpose, and it's something that's been with me, like I said in my previous video, for quite a few years. Um, I've always been creative, and I've always been one to feed into people, to build them, to find that niche, that light, and bring it forth in whatever I'm doing. Never been about me, never selfish, not worried about people taking the credit for anything. I empower. I've always been that way. But like I said, last 30 or so years, uh, I have worked in the field of corrections, done about just about everything you can think about in that field. And what I saw was just people who had such immense talent, so much ability. And what I thought my role was then was to help um, make a change. And it's a system that's not set up that way. I'm not gonna go into my background or whatever, but we're gonna call it what it is. So seeing that and just wondering what my role was, and it's pretty much been to empower, to motivate, and sort of transform uh, people as well as myself because I've grown tremendously throughout this and how I see people and how I see the world and how I see the systems that have been set up and looking at the times we're in now. So I read something on social media this morning and I apologize because I can't remember the gentleman's name and I didn't save it. But in the future, I definitely will tag and mention those individuals' names in my videos. But one thing I got from it was um, creating art that challenges power is one of the oldest and most transformative roles of creativity. It's about visual, verbal, and sonic language to question systems, expose injustice, and awaken consciousness, which is the times we're in now. And because of where I come from in the field, that energy is so heavy and so negative. I don't want to dwell upon that. Don't want to get into the politics of the world. I want to look at where we can make change, where we can help people to empower themselves, to build off of their talents, their gifts, uh, purpose. I'm a true believer in purpose. Call it what you want. And I think we all have a gift of how we're supposed to serve and give back. And in my capacity, and what I've done has always been built around that. So wanting to get away from that and just thinking like, what was they tell you to write what's your ideal life, envision your life, what it looks like. And at that time, I wanted to be in a creative space, just with everything I like, music, digital, electronic, toys, whatever, people who create, whether they're making music, they're making art, they're doing podcasts, they're singing, and then making it a collaborative space. And then within that, it's like, okay, you have this. What's the ultimate goal? Is to see these people thrive, to not to have to depend on someone to give them something, to live off of their purpose and their talent, because you just feel so much better when you're doing something that you love and you enjoy. And mine is that atmosphere, and to bring in those people together and be able to give them that platform to do all the things that they need to do, and also give them a voice uh, in this world, because we silence so many people just because of their socioeconomic status. So yesterday I used a lot of terms: socially impacted, um, underrepresented, and with that I was talking about a lot of people who are incarcerated, who get out, community-based, whatever, and the system has always expected, and I've worked in the system, that you get a job in 15 days. Or if you're on paper, if you don't get a job, you're going back to jail. Or you do this, you do XYZ. If you don't do this, you're going back. And a lot of these people have been set up for this. They haven't been prepared for this. And you're sending them in places they have no passion about. Um, it's a rotating door. They're going in and out. And I'm not dealing with everybody, because it is not my responsibility to fix the world. But for the segment of people that I want to reach, that's who I'm talking to that segment. Those who are creatives, who um, can create anything, or that's what they kind of vibe towards. That's their community. Of how can that translate into self-sufficiency? Should it? Can it? And it can. To say that a 9 to 5 or whatever type of job, working in a factory, because typically, let's call it what it is. That's what it is. Or doing things that just further dim your light does not make you want to be self-sufficient, or make you want to, or gives you the encouragement or the motivation. For most, especially if you're a creative has a different mindset. I have it, so I understand. And if you are one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. um, so sitting back and looking at the system, because what I'm, you know suggesting has never been done before, and people will frown upon it. But why can't I have a talent, uh, a creative talent, that I can turn into a creative social entrepreneurship? It's going to meet everything that I needed to do, not just because I found myself making a poor decision. And let's get it correct. Some people have made poor decisions and put themselves in positions that, you know, just for lack of, better terms or whatever, kind of screwed them, you know. So looking at these men and these women, these kids, talking about juveniles, adults, um, who have, I've seen it, art. I still have art from 20, 30 years ago that someone had drew for me. And I was going through and I'm looking, I'm like, dang, I wonder what happened to this guy. I wonder what happened to this girl. She had immense talent or singing ability. I'm like, man, I wonder if they were able to use those abilities to kind of change their life around, or, did they just get stuck in a system? And we've set that system up where it was a funnel, tunnel they couldn't get out of. So what I proposed was that we start having that conversation, start taking these conversations to these facilities, to these probation parole officers, to these individuals, of, not just having a platform for you to go and create, but how to turn that into something that is life changing for you. Not to make you, if you are the next superstar, great. However, but to give you a new vision, to see where it actually can take you, and to get you those type of skills. So my vision for myself kind of turned into that. Um, so also in doing that, I thought about it. I'm like, because, doing research, trying to figure out, like, is this just my wish? It's never been done, but I'm a person who always done and said, don't tell me something can't be done if we haven't tried it. Let me try it first. So I was sitting down and I was looking at different individuals, celebrities, and then I was just Googling people who have come out of different, who've been institutionalized or whatever, for whatever reason, and came out and been successful. And so I was like, man, it was just so many stories. And I was just trying to narrow it down because I didn't want to do a celebrity book like, hey, look at this person and whatever. And I'm going to throw out a few names of people who, just because they're familiar, you look at Ali Sadiq, the comedian, incarcerated, well, I think 6 years of his life, went in young, um, found his calling, uh, keeps it very 100 on. It wasn't an easy task, but he got through. You look at Jelly Roll, the um, musician, same story. Um, there's another Jose, I can't call his last name, I apologize, I'll look back. But all of these people, and this is not a shameless plug, but all of these people are people that I wrote about in my book because from my research, I decided to write a book. I had no intention of why, I just was motivated. I want to write a book. So I wrote a book and I called it Creative Redemption. And when we're talking about creative redemption, we're talking about redeeming and pulling these people back into society and letting them know that we care about them, that we love them, and that they are important and they have value. And giving them examples of how to maneuver through this and that it is a possibility. So I wrote this book, Creative Redemption, and this tell you, hey, I believe in God. This tell you how God works. I wrote this book, uh, and I'm one as a creative. And if you are a creative, you know that your mind is all over the place. You start one, you get another idea, you go to another, and I had so many things in motion. And when I decided to write this book, I prayed on it, and I was like, I don't know what your conversation with God is. I know what mine. He's like, look, you start a million and one things and don't finish anything. If you start this book, you need to finish this book. So I finished it. Surprisingly, I finished it. I finished it, got it copywritten, did everything. Put the book away, didn't touch the book for a year and a half because it wasn't about um, making money or man, I got this book, I'm gonna publish it and I'm gonna do all of this. I don't even know the reason. I just followed. I was being disciplined, and I followed. I was being obedient. I disciplined myself, and I was obedient to what I was called to do. So I wrote the book. So let's say a year later or whatnot, I hadn't thought about the book, but I'm still have my E² Creative, and by now I've branched it off to what I really want to see. And you look at people who tell you, well, if you're going to start this, you always start with your business plan and you don't worry about logos or whatever. You start it however you feel like you need to start it to keep you going and what your vision is. Uh, Mine started with the logo, the colors, because everything I do has a meaning and it always translates back to something. So E. So like I said, I do have a moniker. So some things I have to. I don't have to, but I just want to make sure that I'm not rambling or whatnot. So the what of E² Creative, um, name and meaning, because everything I do has to have a meaning. That's how I attach to it. That's how I engage. So in E for E²², it started off as elements, the elements of me, everything about me. And then as I sat down and I really looked at it and it kind of progressed, it went to E is equal to elements, which is the rising of the soul through creativity. And it's funny because every time I get an idea or a word and I go and I look for the definition of it, it always links back to my initial objective and plan and the purpose of what I want to do. So E² Creative, the whole essence and vibe of what it was, everything I did always tied back into that. And it was just like more confirmation that I was on the right path. 22. 22 is a master number. Anybody know about numerology? I'm big in different things. Numerology, um, the divine blueprint, vision made visible. That's what the master number is. That's what the 22 is. 22 for me, for my full government name. If you look at numerology, it came out to 22. My birthday came out to 22. 22 is me. I am a master manifester. I always have been. I've always been able to see where I want to go, and I've accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish. Um, I believe in it. Didn't know what it was at the time, but I manifest, and then all it is imagination and vision, and allowing things to fall in place and opportunities to come to you. Now, am I good at it? No. It happens for me. Um, if I really am conscious of it, then I don't. I struggle with it. So I had to step back and just um, begin observing what was going on with me and keeping my focus on what my calling was. And that's one, knowing what your calling is and not arguing with spirit, universe, God, your neighbor, your son, your daughter, your mother, your father about it. It's yours. It's yours. So you roll with it however you want to roll with it. Um, so creative, because I elevate. I'm a master manifester, motivator, and I create. So E² Creative is how that all came about. Um, for me, it is more than a brand. It 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 started to become a brand. It was an idea. It was my dream. It was my getaway, my retirement plan, just to be my mental health plan, to be around creatives, to get away from the harsh energy of um, how people were treated in jail, why they were in jail, what was going on in the world, why people harm each other, um, and that whole thing. And then it kind of snowballed into my brand, because like I said, if you're a creative, you branch off into different things. And it was just sitting down and being like, man, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. And again, it started off with how I envisioned everything, colors, logos, and I go from there. And everybody has their own creative process, and that's the point I'm trying to make. You go with what works for you. Um, it's more than a brand. It became a movement. Um, it became my ministry. I call myself the creative curator. Um, Curation is the service. Um, and when we say ministry, I'm talking into what we're called to do to help someone else, to be a service to someone else. In the beginning, I was called to be a service by working in the correctional field, um, mostly community based, because that was a way of helping others. So when you sit back and you look at the different positions you were in and how you were helping others, and not only helping others who were in the system, helping others that I was working around, that's always been just a quality and characteristic of me. Um, It's also about it's also about using creativity as a way to heal, rise, and transform. Um, and this has become the model for myself and for others, because you can't be in that type of energy and that energy not affect you, and don't become part of that. So I had to heal and transform as I saw things that I didn't really agree with, and I needed to figure out how to change the direction of my life. So as I'm working through this journey, I'm also going through this journey. As I'm trying to help others, I'm also helping myself. Um, so how E² Creative became the ecosystem. Um, I call it the living ecosystem because everything connects. And as I talked about yesterday, I talked about the E² Creative and how it became, initially, I wanted a brick and mortar space, just a creative space with just, I can do anything I want. If I want to paint that day, I want to make music, I want to draw, I wanted to have a venue for events, for whatever I wanted to do, I had it. And so from that point, um, I decided I wanted to do a podcast. So I created InSYT, not InSYT, Speak Your Truth, SYT, Speak Your Truth. So Speak Your Truth was going to be a platform for all those people who were in that creative hub, um, in that creative space where we can sit down and we can talk about their stories, where we can bring people in who have been through the process and talk about their stories. So, brief interruption, as you will see in this process, you will go through. So, picking back up where I left off, I was talking about Speak Your Truth and how E² Creative branched off um, into the various things that I wanted to create. I wanted to do a podcast, so it was Speak Your Truth, where all the creative individuals that I was working with or would be working with would have a space to tell their story, uh, to share their experience, um, to give back. And I would have a space where I could bring in people to talk about their stories and to share their knowledge and their wisdom and their journey. From Speak Your Truth, I wanted to do a vlog page or a newsletter, just as another branch off from E² Creative itself. Everything ties into one another. So the newsletter would tell the stories of what every individual had going on creatively, if they had a project or whatever their purpose or mission or anything that they were working on, how to engage people with them and interact. So everything is put out there as a separate platform. So then I wanted to do a merchandise apparel. So we have E² Creative Essentials, empowering apparel. I'm wearing one now, kind of give you a close up of what it says. So it has the silhouette of an African American female, and it says heal people, heal people. And that's what I believe, that you have to pour into others. And as you're helping others, you also help yourself. So this was the starter of the clothing brand. As I said, the same journey that I want to help and collaborate with others with to empower them is the same journey that I'm on right along with them. So from Creative Essentials comes leadership and training component. That's Creative Impact. So Creative Impact came from me attending a training, and it was the training was with women, and it was women in the field and career that I was in. And in listening to this training, I just felt like it's something I could do better. And I also felt that I had a responsibility to give back and to help give out a hand and pull other women forward. So I have a civilian, well, not civilian, but women in position training curriculum that's in the works. And from what really kicked it off was I wanted to do some type of course or training and put it out there as another stream of income. And as I was doing the research to see what would be the best way to go, it gave me the idea of, hey, creative training, do an educational seminar, webinar, whatever. So I was looking for topics. And so then a little voice said, what are you looking for topics for? You got a whole book that you wrote. You didn't do nothing with it. So I went, I got my book, and I just started building from there. And that was something that kind of snowballed into something much larger, that I am now using that as the anchor for E² Creative, because I think it has a greater impact for people that I want to help, for the group that I want to create a community around. Excuse me. So we have that. And so it's so much more. And don't get me wrong, when I say these are the things, these things are in the works. They will come to fruition and manifestation. That I can guarantee you. This right here, this video is the first step to overcoming a lot of my personal fears of putting myself out there and not listening to the naysayers or the biggest naysayer, which is up here, of what I can accomplish and what I can't accomplish. So I just really wanted to reach out and talk about my brand, of what's forthcoming, what to look forward to. We talked about, it's about media, storytelling, leadership, restoration, and they all flow through my faith in people and that everyone has a purpose, and allowing my purpose to feed in to others. It's about also your imagination and your vision for your life, and what you feel drawn to, and not talking yourself out of any idea that you have, to see where it takes you. E²²Creative has become a movement through art, culture through creativity. And one of the biggest things that I have found is that the times we're in, and the fact that we're born and we're living through these times, that, and especially seeing things that we not thought that we would probably never experience in our lifetime, that's happening in the world. But if you look for the common denominator when it comes to change and empowering people, its foundation has always been with creativity, with having a voice, with allowing your message to speak through that creative outlet or expression. Some people have different ways that they join grassroots movements, and the ways that they want to make change. It's no one way. The niche that I'm focused on is through creativity, of looking for the positive, of how to bring people together. We all know music brings people together. Art brings people together. It's a way to, express your views, your beliefs, and your values in the most subjective way possible. And to find people who are in alignment with the same thing that you're in alignment with. So this is the beginning of building a community. My personality is starting to come out a little more in these videos. And as I get more comfortable, and I can kind of, narrow it down to exactly where we are. But just wanted to get it out there. And I also want to invite people to share, like, give me comments back on what you see and what you feel, and pass this on to people who have a talent, who this would bring value to them. There are many things going on, and I invite people to collaborate with me. This is, this is a passion, and when I'm engaged and I'm passionate about something, but this is also so big that at times I admit, like, how am I going to accomplish what has been placed on me? But it's one day at a time, and as I walk out on faith and I take more and more steps, doors open up, opportunities come to me, they become available, people reach out that can help me. And this is the same for anybody else. It's like, we got one life, we got one shot. The ending, we already know what the ending looks like. The ending is the same for everybody. So what keeps holding us back? And I'm not just saying this as a way to say, hey, this is what you should do. This is internally for me, to remind myself, what do I have to lose? Why not me? Why can't it be me? The change has to start somewhere. Change starts with a person who pushes forward and is really locked into what they want to do and how they want to help and how they want to make a change. And I want my change to be global. Never thought small. And I get people who say, you got to take baby steps. You got to start small. I ain't never started small. I always start big, figure it out and work my way back if I have to. But, why start at the bottom? The biggest challenge is figuring it out at the top. But like I say, that's for me. You work your journey the way you want to work yours. And I've been humbled, and I've had to take a step back and take those baby steps. But my vision has always been large, has always been big and grandeur. So that's just a characteristic of my personality. So I'm not going to keep rambling. Just wanted to share, and there will be more videos to come. And like I said, there will be more specific as to what the next steps are. I'll be reaching out for assistance, but the thing I want most from anyone now is to push this out. Send it to that person who, or community, or whatever it is, tribe that can use this or has the same thought pattern, or where you can see the value in this. Push it out there. That's the only way. I encourage feedback. I invite feedback. And until next time, we'll do it again. Thank you.